Good day, folks. This is Mark from Southern Tier WordPress Training, and in today's brief yet incredibly useful screencast video, I just wanted to show you a couple things that you can do above and beyond activating your Akismet spam filter in order to eliminate any and all, hopefully, comment spam that might get through on your WordPress blog or website. Now, first and foremost, you need to activate that Akismet spam filter. That's going to take care of 99.9% of your problems right there, or your potential problems right there. This is not a tutorial on using Akismet. There's a ton of information out there. It will take you, a 3-second Google search to find everything you need. And there's really not that much you need to know. That plugin is already installed with your new installation of WordPress. All you need to do is activate it. So what we're going to talk about today is just a couple extra backup things you can do in case you're a very thorough personality such as myself and you want to feel like you have everything in place that you possibly can in order to stop any and all comment spam. So let's get started. Alright, let me quickly log into my own website here. And before I take you where I want to take you today, let me just assume that you are working with a brand new installation of WordPress. Even if you're not, there will be some of you out there that are. So let me just show you where that Akismet spam filter is, just so you know what I'm talking about here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to in the dashboard, in the menu, we're going to go to plugins and installed plugins. And your Akismet spam filter is right here. If you're working, as I said, if you are working with a brand new installation of WordPress, then the only difference between mine and yours right over here is that yours will say activate rather than deactivate. Okay, so enough about Akismet for now. That's not what this video is about. There's plenty of information that you can find about Akismet, and as I may have mentioned before, Akismet really is your first line of defense. So before you move on to what we're going to talk about in this video, make sure, please, that you have your Akismet spam filter activated. And like I said, that will take care of most of your problems right up front. We're just going to talk about a couple extra things now. So from the installed plugins page, we're going to go down to settings and discussion. And we're briefly going to touch on 3 areas of this page in this video. We're going to touch on this area right here before a comment appears. We're going to touch on comment moderation, and we're going to touch on the comment blacklist area. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about here is this checkbox, which by default is unchecked, and it's the first checkbox underneath before a comment appears. And basically what it says is an administrator must always approve the comment. So in other words, by having this checkbox ticked off, there will not be a single comment that goes live on your website without you yourself or someone else that you've given administrator privileges to on the website looking at it and deciding if that comment is appropriate. Now, that being said, this doesn't eliminate comment spam going to your website. It eliminates any and all comments going live to the web page. It basically means that you're going to have to look at everything that comes through on the back end before you decide if it goes live. You'll still, if you decide to check that checkbox, you'll still want to have Akismet running, because no matter what, you want to eliminate as many comments that are definitely spam from the get-go. The nice thing about this checkbox is it gives you an absolute safety valve and allows you to look at everything before it goes live. Now, one thing worth mentioning is if you have a website that has a lot of traffic, or rather a lot of traffic and a lot of feedback from your clients, this can be a pretty heavy task, and you may want to consider having at least one other, if not more, people with administrator privileges to the website that you trust to look at the comments and decide if you want them to go live or not, because this can, eventually over time, this can possibly be a task that gets out of control. Okay, so moving on to the comment moderation section, this first area right here, which says hold a comment in the queue if it contains 2 or more links. Now, what this basically means is holding a comment in the queue just means the same thing as holding it for approval. In other words, you need, if a comment comes in that has 2 or more hyperlinks in it, it's going to wait for you or another person with administrator privileges to look at it and either decide that it can go live or that it can't go live. If you've ever been in charge of a website that has, you know, the ability for the readers to give feedback, then you know when comment spam gets through, a lot of comment spam contains hyperlinks. So the number of hyperlinks set to 2 for my personal comfort is a little high. I actually bump it down to 1, and that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable, and I'll save the setting like that. Now, I wouldn't recommend setting it to 0, because what this will accomplish, if you read this all the way through, hold a comment in the queue if it contains 0 or more links. Basically, if you think about it, that's going to accomplish the same thing that checking this tick box over here would have accomplished. In other words, nothing will get through until you approve or disapprove of the comment. So if that's the, you know, if that's the result that you want, then you may as well just check this. You know, there's no real difference between the two. Okay, so the last 2 things to talk about here are these 2 text fields. The first one is the second section of comment moderation, and the next one is basically the only section of the comment blacklist area. What you would put in these text fields, if you decide that you want to use them, are lists of words where, in the case of the comment moderation text field, for example, whatever you have in your list here, if you have a comment come through to your website that contained any of the words that populate this field, or even if those words or phrases were in the email address or the URL of the person or machine that submitted the comment, you wouldn't necessarily not let the comment go live, but you would want to moderate it. In other words, you'd want yourself or another administrator of your website to take a look at it before you allowed that comment to go live. Now, the difference between the words in the comment moderation text field and whatever you decide to put in the blacklist is that WordPress will take whatever you put in the blacklist, you know, any comments that get through or that attempt to get through, whether those words are in the comment itself or again in the email address or the URL of whomever submitted the comment, WordPress will grab that and immediately mark it as spam and get rid of it. So you do want to be a little bit careful about what you put in the blacklisted list of words. Now, as you can see, I've already populated my blacklist, and you know, you can create your own blacklist and your own list of words for moderation. I simply chose to use the list put together by this website right here, digwp.com, and as you can see, I've already highlighted and copied their list, and I've pasted it right into the blacklist area. Now, one thing that I do is once I've pasted an entire list into the blacklist area, the way that I populate my moderation, my words for moderation, is I'll go through carefully the blacklist and I'll find words that I wouldn't necessarily blacklist, but I may want to use in my moderation area. So, for example, you can see that I've highlighted the word male. I would not blacklist the word male personally. I would maybe add that to my list of words for moderation. So you get the idea. You can see why, you know, some of these words would definitely be blacklisted words, but you can, you know, if you take the time to go through, you'll see, for example, breast. I wouldn't necessarily blacklist the word breast, but I may add it to my list of words that, you know, I'd rather take a look at those comments before they went through. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but you get the idea. So that is how you use the comment moderation text field and the comment blacklist field. Again, it's worth mentioning, before we move on to save our changes, it's worth mentioning one more time that these safety valves that we've covered in this video, these are not under any circumstances something that you would do instead of turning on your Akismet spam filter. These are just things that you can do in addition to that may make you feel a little more safe, but always, always, always turn on that Akismet spam filter first. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below, and I will answer them as soon as I notice them. Thanks a lot and have a great day. Thank you for watching.